Good early news for Munster this week in that Conor Murray has signed a contract extension until 2022. He's 29 years old now. I'm delighted to have signed and staying with the RFU until at least 2022. David Nusafora, Conor, genuinely world-class player. 67 caps for Ireland at this stage, 2 World Cups under his belt, twice British and Irish Lions tourist. He's, 140 odd Munster appearances. This seemed like a fairly straightforward deal, Rory. There were no visits to France or musings publicly or leaks. It was very quiet, it seemed.
There were visits to France. He's been in Racing twice, or he's been over to visit Simon Zebo twice in the last couple of weeks. But according to the RFU today, this was done in September.
Yeah.
And it does seem quite clear that Conor Murray, once the RFU were able to match what he felt he deserved, which they did quite willingly because he is the best in his position. Certainly, Aaron Smith might have a say in that, but he's certainly the best in Europe, and he's one of the best, one of the 2 best in the world, and they're quite far ahead of the pack.
Yeah.
That he was happy to come in, and you got to think it's a massive vote of confidence for both Munster and Ireland and what's been done here. I
presume he's gone in fairly close to highest paid Irish player, has he?
If he's not the highest, he's the second highest, and that's where he stands.
Yeah.
You know, he's certainly, Johnny Sexton's been leading the way, especially since Jamie Heaslip retired. He's certainly up there. And that's what he deserves. He is such an important player, and you've got to think now they've signed him to 2022.
Yeah.
They see him as being probably the starting scrum half in 2023 at that World Cup as well. That's 4 World Cups. And his best chance of getting there is probably by staying, because if he did go to now Racing was never a realistic one. They've got one of the best scrum halves in Europe in Machinot. It always seemed a bit weird, but there is a lot of French clubs and a lot of English clubs who'd love to have a player of his calibre on their books. So you've got to think that the player welfare system, all the things that the Irish players take into account, he probably could have earned a little bit more by going away, but the long-term benefit of staying here, of staying with his home province, the fact that he's only won 1 Celtic League in his career, probably burning at him inside, and he could have gone away and had a better chance of winning silverware, because Munster are in the field rather than at the head of it. But it's a huge piece of news huge piece of business for the RFU. Great to get it done so early.
Yeah.
Stops the annual speculation fest that I get involved in and everyone does. I'd much rather get it done, that it's done, and we can focus on the rugby. And great bit of business for Munster, great vote of confidence there as well.
And forgive me for being grubby, what is the highest paid player earning now, give or take? And I presume at this stage, is that very much privately funded as well as IRFU funded deal at this stage? Yeah,
I think all the big deals have an element of that, and they tie in sponsorships. There's obviously bonuses, there's appearance fees and all that sort of stuff, which muddy the water. You're talking, I think, upwards of 700 in and around that range.
Okay.
The RFU would probably say it was lower, but they would, the players' agents would probably say it was higher, they would as well. The highest paid player in the world at the moment is Piatau. He's on $1 million a year at Bristol, and he's not even an out half, which is where the money usually goes. I think Cruden's on 800 or so at Montpellier. So if you think the RFU are probably paying a little bit less than they are paying a little bit less than the big French clubs and the big English spenders where they're bankrolled by fully by private money. There's a sweet spot there around between 6 and 8, I think, that the biggest players are coming in at. It's hard to be specific because, there's all sorts of information flying around, but that's a fair enough estimate, I think.
Okay.